Okay, you're on. And I'm going to leave you three ladies talking to each other and take a bit of a break here. Carry on. I'll be back in a second. Ha ha ha! Look what I just did.
I know. It's the first time I've ever done this.
She does these things deliberately. She likes to throw everybody in the pool occasionally.
Yeah, that's how I got
Sink
here.
or swim.
Exactly. How are you doing, Drakes?
Good. Good job.
Good.
I'm still.
Yeah, it's been fun. What were you saying?
Oh, I said I'm still getting used to looking into the camera instead of at the screen.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
You just stare at it until your eyes start watering. You'll get there.
That's what my eyes are doing.
Yeah. Twitching cross.
So I linked I linked Hans's project in a Gab article, and 24 hours later it was bumped, freaking out, thinking, "Oh no, what have I done?"
Kill's fault.
Exactly. Did I just bend reality and get him kicked off Kickstarter? No.
It worked out pretty well though, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, the entire the entire thing has been good inspiration. Disasters can actually be blessings, same as the writing process.
Need to turn these lights on. That's what's wrong here.
Get your lighting.
Glare, yeah. There we go. That's better. Should be able to see me now. Okay. Yes, see me much better.
Yeah,
now.
you're good.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
So how many more hours are left in our Kickstarter?
I have no idea, Mel.
Do we not have a timer going?
Time, you know, my concept of time is non-existent. I was here 24 hours ago, ready to start.
Maybe one of us needs to keep a count.
Mentally, I've been going for about 27 and a half hours, but we started 3 hours ago.
I'm gonna look it up. If we have time to kill.
Well, what do you guys want to say? We have to. So we were wrestling with the pitch yesterday, but is there something that you want to say about the project that you haven't been able to say yet, and tell people about why we're spending all this time on this beautiful dragon baby?
There's just so much to say. There's so many layers to it, and we keep finding new ones. It's like we had this. Well, mostly you had this overall idea for this project, but every time we write 9 more lines, it seems we get 900 more ideas to kind of cram in there, but we managed to do it because of the poetic form allows you to do that. It helps you to focus your ideas, which is something I never knew. It's like I never knew I wanted to write. What it could help me do is just concentrate better, because I've always wanted to write fiction and I've never been able to do it because I've never been able to concentrate long enough. So this really helps.
You can feel it changing the way you think as you're doing it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a discipline. It's a good one. It's like exercise, like you're exercising your brain.
A more fun way. Oh, I was going to say, well, more productive, like Sudoku. You have something at the end of the day.
Right. Yes. The highbrow versus lowbrow stuff, I don't agree with that at all. It's I don't think comic books are lowbrow. I found something really interesting as I was listening to Chuck and Rachel talk. You have to concentrate so hard to pack as much information as you can into that one stanza. You have to do the same thing with a page of a comic book. Like you have all the story you want to put in it, but you've got to really focus and, okay, what do I really need to put in this? You have to be very economical with it. So they're very similar that way.
Yeah, you don't get to just collect things for the sake of being in love with the thing, the word, the concept, the color. It all has to be completely refined, right?
Yes. Right. Yeah, because that we find, well, at least I think I've noticed myself one idea so bad because you really like the idea, but it just doesn't fit, and then you just try to make it fit. You're trying to put the square peg into the round hole, or really want it there, but you can't allow you to do it, which is good because you end up with a better product.
Yeah, I'll be writing an entire stanza and I think, oh, this is amazing. It's so beautiful. Wait, nothing rhymes. We didn't do the rhymes yet.
Right, yeah.
Suddenly, you got to restructure the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, hearing the guys talk about their process has been amazing. And it sounds like everyone's had a similar experience to us, and that the story, parts of it end up writing itself in the sense that, you know, you release control over it to a degree, and the story becomes more alive, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because before we started writing all of these books together, I would not have assumed that, you know, less control equals better output. But it's interesting that, you know, in terms of characters too, being able to let them grow in the corner and develop their own personalities and that kind of thing, into the situation, instead of making the situation respond to them. It's a two-way street. So yeah, it's been really interesting that way.
Yeah, or just responding to the muse, right? This whole idea is reality reflecting what you're writing, or are you affecting reality? Well, I don't really think we're speaking things into existence. We're not witches. This is not a coven, but there are some really strange synchronicities that
there
happen.
There are 4 of us. It can't be a coven. Covens have 3.
Oh, well, there you go.
According to Terry Pratchett. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. So that thing with Chuck last year with Ukraine, that was just insane. I mean, yeah, that was just nuts. I mean, we haven't had anything that spectacular happen. Just kind of like we would share news stories and say, "Hey, have you guys seen this?"
Hey, we predicted the Derby. We
could have won the Kentucky Derby.
We missed out on betting on the horses, Mage, and then Mage won, and then all 3 of them this year turned out. It was reflected in our story.
That was bizarre. I mean, because gambling is, and a horse race in particular, is such a huge part of the story that we're writing, and that those 2 winners came up. It's like, this is getting weird.
So yeah, if anyone wants any betting tips, just get a copy of the backed one.
Yeah,
it'll be full of them probably.
Yeah, get an early copy of the manuscript. So it's just for tips. It'll go on the black market before you know it.
Yeah, we should have pitched that in the Kickstarter. Here's your cheat sheet. Get it now.
That's hot.
You'll win the Derby. And you, Mel, quietly simmering in the background there.
I found out we have 9 hours left.
Oh, you looked it up,
yes.
Right? I know.
So excited for the finished product.
One for each choir of angels. That's good luck, right?
Right.
9 hours.
Yeah, we're into symbols too. Did we mention that?
Yeah.
Well, like, we've all been reading together, you know, for a long time. I said it when we came in. This is 2 years worth of work for this team. We've been looking at so many things together, sharing resources together, sharing our readings together. I feel like we're a graduating class somehow with this story, just about to kind of show everybody a degree's worth of work together. It's for the Drakes. Huge moment for DCR.
It is. It's a lot. It represents a lot of work and a lot of dedication, because it was. Sometimes it was like 5 and 6 days a week. And usually we're to like 4 or 5 days a week now. But that's. I mean, it's been so consistent. Yeah, it's like I feel like you guys live here, and I wish I could give you a real hug.
Well,
that was
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that was what I found kind of funny of the men we just that they were so humble about their work and thinking it was, lowbrow, as it were. And here we are, what, but I think at the end of the day, it is spectacular what's come together, what the voice that was created. So,
well, I certainly feel wonderful about that. But I think so. I mean, the guys that we've been talking to, true art makes you humble. Because I mean, and this in the sense of you hopefully are serving the art for itself, rather than and maybe that's so we actually Rebar still. I hope Rebar still is still listening. Does the world reject beauty and virtue for its own sake? I think one of the main themes of our story is the desire for control that the drugs offer, and that wrenching. Maybe what we keep hearing the artist talking about is, it's not low, it's humble. They're humble before their own craft, and understand how demanding it is to make it that little bit better each time you go in.
Yeah.
And the magic doesn't feel like control, because that's the coerciveness of, forcing your characters into something, or forcing this plot into something. It's maybe that's the deep lesson that Tolkien kept talking about is the more you're trying to wrest control of your creations, the more you are destroyed by it.
Like the ring, trying to control it. And trying to control your desire for it, almost like a drug, right? Yeah, I don't think people can recognize beauty. I think a majority of people, and it's not that they're rejecting it. I don't think they can recognize it anymore. I think they've been blinded by sin. And for some people, it's gradual. And some people, this entirely depends upon individual personality, but some people will dive headfirst into a sinful lifestyle, and other people are just like the frog in a pot of boiling water, right? The heat just keeps getting turned up, and they don't know to jump out. And kind of like that aspect of our story, because it is us, as in the human race. It's everybody. Everybody's in a certain. Everybody's in a of what I've just described. They're either in it really deep, or they're skirting around it, but it's affecting everybody, because sin does affect everybody. Badly, obviously.
Yeah, it's a good point, Casey, that we're highlighting that things are not just individual choices that affect an individual, which has been the argument in the culture for so long. Why do you care what that person does? It affects them, it doesn't affect you. The world that we've built to experiment with the consequences of choices, and the consequences of free will, and the consequences of sin, is that you can see the flow and effect very, very quickly. Because obviously we're able to show that in a poetic medium, but it really does go and sort of refract throughout the world of these characters very quickly, because and in particular one very intense scene, but the argument that this is only effective format, because everything really does link to everything else. When you're writing in this kind of way, nothing is isolated, everything is together, and it's been fantastic to see through the medium that we're using. Then, okay, so this is really what's going on in the culture. Everything really does link to everything else. Yeah. There is no individual choice. I mean, we have an individual choice, we have free will. Our free will affects every single person that's alive around us. And then you have the compound effect of all of our choices together, and what that creates. Being in DRACO ALCHEMICUS, it's the city of light. It's the city, the place where all of the choices live together. The compound effect of this kind of mechanism. So, yeah.
it's a perfect metaphor. The city is a perfect metaphor of what you're talking about, but it's also reality. It's what a city is. It's commerce, right? Of all kinds, like legitimate and illegitimate, and everybody mixes all together, and it makes for a pretty nasty stew sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm not saying cities are bad. I agree with Rachel that cities are miracles.
Mm-hmm.
They just need to be reclaimed. They need to be reclaimed for Christ. That's it. Because if you don't have Christ in them, it's a dystopian nightmare. You could have the most beautiful architecture in the world, and it means nothing. Right. It's just a backdrop for all kinds of ugly things. But when you have Christ, they're elevated, as we are, as our souls are.
So what you've described there, Casey, is a very different idea of beauty too than a pure aesthetic, a pure visual perfection, which is really interesting, because this is something that people are missing now. You know, if we've said several times as we've been streaming, people can't see beauty anymore, you know, people can't notice beauty anymore, but then, you know, conversely, we have these enormous beauty industries. We have this enormous plastic surgery industries, these enormous pharmaceutical industries, which are designed for, you know, the idea of glamorizing the aesthetics of the face, the body, everything like this. But that's not the beauty you've just described. It's still, there is something lacking there, and just we're really trying to show in the high glamour of our city, of our world, that is supposed to be visually perfect, you know, beautiful, perfected. It's not. It's still lacking. It's Christless.
Yeah. It's superficial. It's not deep. It's like when you look at a picture that's AI, you posted on Telegram, this really cool picture, and it was of a beautiful woman, but we were discussing, and I immediately said, no, that's AI.
Oh, the Russian-looking girl.
Yes, she was beautiful.
Yeah.
But she lacked depth. You could tell it wasn't real. Yeah. Almost immediately, even though it was pretty to look at on the surface, right? It's like a pretty Christmas present with beautiful wrapping, but you know it's just wrapping. And you just, you know, okay, well, what's underneath it? See a Christmas present, I want to open it up and see what's underneath it, right? You don't do that with a person, but you could, so to speak, you know, see what's inside, right? And sometimes you don't even have to talk to somebody to find out. And that goes both ways. Sometimes you can just see beauty radiating from people. Saints have had this aura about them, so to speak. And but conversely, people also have an incredible way of detecting evil in other people too. Sometimes with somebody who was physically attractive, and that's how he got his victims to follow him. And that's really horror. That's real horror. That's really creepy, because that's when you really can't tell beauty from ugliness, from evil from good. Because you're a misguided package for what's on the inside.
Which is our DRACO ALCHEMICUS.
Yeah.
Yep. The snake oil can be people too.
Yes.
That's the real horror.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Casey, you've really described. No, you've given. This is exactly that. People are asking about beauty, and we thinking about it as crafting this surface thing, but it can't be. It's like that without the soul, without Christ in it, it cannot. It looks hollow and evil.
Yes. Yeah. And you'd think something's wrong. Something's really wrong, and I can't put my finger on it. Right.
Yeah.
But you can just feel it. As long as if you're not too blinded, you can feel it. But sometimes, well, I mean, there are psychopaths. That's an entirely different topic. They're very good at passing themselves off for normal people. But that's not really our story. Our story is about evil, and that's it. It's a real clear line, and it's really clear that people can't tell in this world we've created. They can't tell at all. Nobody can.
Well, in our real world, that's the problem: discernment. And so that our story. In comic poetry, allegorical, mythological demonstration is why that discernment is so difficult, and that we've So what we finished, everyone, what we finished is the first act, right? So setting the problem up and introducing the main characters, and it's keeping the sense of this is the allure of the sorts of places like casinos and these electric cities and such. It needs to all constantly be beautiful, because that is the way it casts itself. It's the fairy illusion, the glamour that the fairy casts, the fairy queen casts, and it is described as, in the world's terms, the way people expect this glamour to work. And we're going to need to show you why that's a spell.